Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the September Ascolite Learning Design Special Interest Group webinar at the special early time of 11 o'clock, not 12 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're thrilled that so many of you have been able to join us, and if you're watching the recording, we're thrilled that you're watching the recording as well. My name is Keith Heggett. I'm one of the co-conveners of the Learning Design SIG, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Dr. Kashmira Dev, and also Associate Professor Leanne No, who will be jumping in and working with all of us during the course of this webinar. I just want to talk about a few things. Remember that this SIG is open to everybody, whether you're an Ascolite member or not. It's part of our outreach work, though we strongly encourage you to join Ascolite and to join the Learning Design SIG when you do so. The Ascolite conference is coming up in just a few short months, and the papers have all been accepted, and looks like it's going to be a fantastic conference in Christchurch in New Zealand this year. So if you haven't registered for that current conference, I strongly encourage you to reach out and do so. The other thing that I want to encourage you to join is the Australian Association of Learning Designers group on LinkedIn. That's kind of co-branded with the Ascolite Learning Design SIG, and it's a place where we're advertising a lot of events and all of those kinds of things as well. We have lots of events. If you can just jump across. Thanks, Leanne. Thanks, Kashmir. I should, before I tell you about the events we've got coming up, just make a special note and an acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Darug people in what is now Western Sydney. So if you want to put where you're coming from, what land you're on, please feel free to do that in the chat. All right, let me tell you about some of the other events we've got coming up just before we dive into the presentation. We have had, over the course of this year, a number of hackathons. They've been fantastic. I really have to be honest. The last one was all about what was it called? The worst syllabus outline or the worst course outline ever. and there was some really fantastic discussion and people saying, oh, this absolutely cannot be real. But yeah, no, we had some great discussion there. And we've got a boot camp coming up on the 27th of October. This is something new that we've tried. It's going to be in hybrid and in face-to-face in Melbourne. And the whole idea is that we're going to spend a whole day. It's going to be catered. We're going to get a whole bunch of learning designers in the room and online talking about all the kinds of things that are important to us and how we can share practice. And a big shout out to Kate Mitchell, who's been helping to organise that alongside all of the co-conveners. All right, that's enough advertisements from me. I want to hand over to Kashmira, who's going to introduce our webinar presenter. Over to you, Kashmira.
So thanks, Keith. So today we have Dr. Eunice Sari. Eunice has joined, so I mean, Eunice, you don't know how much relieved I am to see you in here. So today's webinar is on harnessing AI and design thinking for transformative learning journeys. So I just say Eunice is adjunct Associate Professor at School of Computer Science and Engineering at University of New South Wales. Dr. Sari is a CEO and co-founder of UX Indonesia, and the first insight-driven in UX research, training, consulting company based in Indonesia since 2002. And she is also co-founder of Customer Experience Insight Private Limited, Australia. With more than 20 years of experience in academic and industries, she has helped many organizations accelerate their digital transformation and pioneer innovative user experience projects that affect lives and improve businesses. Bottom line, in US, Europe, Australia, and Asia. So I will let Eunice tell a little bit more about her and then get on to today's presentation. So over to you, Eunice. You have anything to share, then you can share, or I'll just.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's so good.
sorry, guys. I'm in a bit weird place right now, a rural area, and my internet did not work. And yeah, my friend like lent me the Wi-Fi, so it is good. Yeah. So yeah, just a little bit about me. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm actually like a part of Escalade long time ago. That was probably maybe 12 or 13 years ago before. And I came to a couple of Escalade event when I did my PhD, when I started to come like visited like Australia and then also did my PhD. So I attended Escalade a couple of times. So it is today I'm going to share a little bit of my journey of understanding about the use of AI and especially how it is related to my work. Can you see my screen now? Okay, good. I'll just listen. Okay. So yeah, so I'm trying to I'm sure that everybody here is not new to AI and you are also doing can I ask you like how many of you who doesn't do like who doesn't use ChatGPT? Anyone?
No, we all do.
You all do, right? Like yeah. So yeah, I myself like think that ChatGPT has changed my life, and I guess like it's not a new thing for all of us here, but how I've been doing it for my design research and all my study and with my student. That's something that I'm going to share with all of you here. Maybe we can share. It's more like a sharing. It's rather than me giving you a new things like because I think this has become like a transformative technology for a lot of us. So yeah, so I started like um, my role as an educator before, and I was always interested in technology in teaching and learning. But people back home, like they did not really believe that, okay, well, you can use technology. So it took me a lot of time, like a very long time, like to wait for this moment for people just use technology in teaching and learning. And especially during back home for me is Indonesia. I was born in Indonesia, but I'm here in Australia and working, learning here in Australia. So since COVID, things has changed a lot, and it has become such a big thing for anyone to use technology like automatically, whether they want to do it or not. And we have been involved in a lot of projects with a lot of university, a lot of organization, and a government like DFED as well for providing the technology for students, for teachers to improve teaching and learning, for transformative learning. So I would say myself is between practitioner and academic, where I do a lot of work in the industry, but also like trying to really connect what we have learned with the theories, what we are doing with the like from the academic. And yeah, this is the area we are working so far. Like it's in the K-12 and tertiary education, sustainability, women, vocational education, and so on. But all of them, what connects all of us is about um, it's on education and technology. So whoever we are working, it's like about empowering them, like using the technology in teaching and learning. Sorry, I got to move like because there's a lot of sound here. I'll move somewhere. Okay. Okay. So sorry about that. So yeah, so we have seen like the last couple of years, like how the technology have changed, like especially with AI. We are not using AI just for like the computer science people only. We have made this technology becoming part of our life day to day. To what extent it's different from one to another. And when we talk about Indonesia, for example, I'll just use the case study in Indonesia. People usually just use it like whatever technology it is, and especially with a teacher, with the university lecturers, it's not there are not so many critical way of thinking and assessing what would be like at the best from the pedagogical point of view. And we have started to, people are very, very clever in the way they started to use a different kind of, for example, AI. I'm talking about AI here, like for the administrative, they're creating product in a matter of weeks and months. So they don't wait to automate a lot of things. But then the question is like, to what extent we actually can use this technology beyond just the initial usage that the technology has been implemented. So we know that we know all the potential of artificial intelligence for different kind of stuff, for personalized learning, providing student report, and all the thing. And for a lot of the lecturers, for the students, they can easily like change this one. Very easy to create all this stuff. So if you are interested like to create something very quick, like I would encourage you like, oh, maybe we can collaborate doing something in Indonesia and ask the students to develop it for us. But then the next thing, what is currently missing is in terms of the generative AI, we don't use it critically, and that is like what we think is the lacking, and it's something that we need to improve, and we still like a lot of work to be done, especially with generative AI. We are not looking, I myself like always talking to a lot of people, that it is not just about you putting something on a ChatGPT or Bard or any Microsoft Bing or something like that and then get the result. It's about the art of asking questions, the art of prompting. And I believe like a Kashmira and myself, like we share a lot of things as well, because from Charles Darwin University, like we work a lot on a project or a question formulation technique. Not I work on, I believe this as well, or at least come across the same thing that we are doing that. So the art of prompting, and then because we are talking about the large language models, we're putting an input into the large language model like a generative AI, and then it gives you answer. What happened is like during our study, we see that the student is just like okay, use directly the insight from, they believe maybe 100% whatever the ChatGPT says, and then they put it even like in their presentation, and even they make their presentation with the AI tool. So it is a bit sad, like as there are more and more people using AI, then we started to be able to identify like this is coming from AI or this is coming from human. Or now that as the times goes by, then we started to get more difficult to recognize, because some students like they started to like change a little bit here and there, so we don't really know. So what is really important here it's the art of asking questions, which is actually part of the prompting. And I've been to a couple of meeting and also professional development event before, and we are talking about the prompting. And within the prompting itself, there are a lot of a design process. When I talk about design, we are not talking just design of the back end, where people are creating either the platform, where people are creating the question for you to set up the prompt, set the temperature. I mean, like to the sensitiveness of the result, but it is also like from the users themselves. Like the users will have to be able to refine the questions that they have until they get the right answers, until they are able to get, yes, this is the answer that I'm going to go through, like I'm going to use. And even based on the answer, we still have to see and to work on it to make sure that all information are true. So for example, if you asking a question also, when did Queen Elizabeth die, right? Like that is kind of question. And then the ChatGPT would answer, like a ChatGPT 3, for example, they would answer, oh, well, no, Queen Elizabeth still alive, because all the data is from there. If you do not know what is the fact, then it's going everywhere. And it is getting really dangerous. Like if we do not grow awareness of the students and also the lecturers about this. I mean, like lecturers, there are a lot of them. Like even I go to a lot of places in Australia, they are super afraid, like they are going to lose the job. But it's like no, it is not about losing the job. It's actually adding more things for you to do once you know more about this generative AI. There will be more things that you have to learn. There will be a lot of things that you need to take consideration, especially when organizing, when you are doing the assessment, where you are creating the learning material and so on. So we're looking at generative AI from a different perspective, and especially with us, it's related to the content knowledge that we are teaching to our students. So art and design, music composition, text generation, image synthesis, and data augmentation. So we got all different kind of tool that we can use, and it's like it's very interesting that each of these two, like when I'm doing conversation with generative AI, as always, like I'm always smiling to myself, like looking at, oh well, this can be like a more clever, more rigid, and they are not doing it properly, or they're not giving the right answer. So it is really interesting to understand the semantic from each of the information that's provided by AI, generative AI. So okay, so the next thing is that we do know, like there are so many tools that our students can use, and this is something that I'm telling like a lot of the stakeholders, who are like the teachers, the lecturers. Okay, let's try to learn about it. Let's try to open up our mind and see like how each of these tools work, and what is like according to our area of teaching and learning, and then see like how we can improve from there. Like not just talking about ChatGPT all the time, but like looking at the different tools. First, it's first it's going to provide a lot of variation on the way the students like delivering the information, because whether you are giving it or not giving it, the student will still use this kind of tool. But like if we as a lecturer or as a teacher, we giving it, and then it will actually make decision. My teachers, my teachers, my lecturer, they are quite advanced, and then like it's like making the students more I don't have the study yet, but based on what people said to me, make their students more excited in learning something using the technology. So we just should not be afraid of using that. When we are talking about design thinking, like the role of the stakeholders and also the students as our main target users are really important. So we have to be able to especially we are the one who have the control. We have to be able to understand, empathize with the students, like what actually like how they are actually using the technology, and we having like an open discussion with them is actually helping us to shape our mindset, to shape our way of using the technology, addressing them in our teaching and learning much better. And it actually like how we make how it can be better, because once we have a relationship with our users and as oh, is that how you do it? And then for us, like then if we go again like using these tools, then we can improve our way of giving the prompt for this app, and it's also helping us to explore a different way of using this technology beyond what is the original purpose of this technology. So let's look at that. So we are not, so this has happened, but we should not worry about this. We got to move on. We are not going to be replaced as long as we keep ourselves into the boat together with our students. So the first part will be like a empathy. That will be like the first thing that we have to do, with it, especially part of the design thinking. We got to have empathy to our users. Once we learn about them, like really systematically learn from them, like how they use the technology, what is their perspective about the technology, and what kind of problems they have, and what kind of ideas they have when they are using the technology, because it's part of them. They are digital natives in those technology. So, so then we can involve them in the code designing process. We find out like, okay, well, there is a problem on this one. So instead of putting all the burden to us, like to find out solution, we ask them to be a partner. So they are no longer like the object of our teaching and learning. They are the partners in our teaching and learning. How do we do that? So how I do it is like we engage them. I invite those who are willing to. There are two ways. Like what I do is like we invite them for them who are keen to be able to keen to participate, to give their feedback, to show us how they do it, and then to think together what would be the best way. It might not be the final result of the how we actually so for example, I'll just give you like a real example. Okay, let's do a role play with our ChatGPT or with our generative AI, right? How are you going to do that? This is the goal. We give them a real clear goal, what you want to do. And then like, okay, what is your idea? And what is your idea? And then we discuss on those ideas that are given by the students. It becomes rich and rich and richer and richer. And it helps us actually, okay, well, this is how my students think about the like when we do a role play and what sort of question they answer. And then if we already have done our little research, and then it's like we have the process of knowledge building with these students. and then we come up with a new solution, and we come back to them like, how about if we do this? Like, what do you think about this? So it's like the initial idea might be a bit small because we don't have so much knowledge about that, but with the help of our students, it become big and it become more complex and more meaningful, because the students will be able to see their their how do I say, like the footsteps into this. They are able to look at the DNA of their ideas into the design of, for example, the assessment, for example, the paper or the assignment that we are going to have. Of course, we are not leaving everything to the students, but this kind of teaching and learning will be a great exercise to do co-design and co-creation with our students in terms of using generative AI in teaching and learning. One of the most common thing that I heard from the lecturers or the students are, I'm not familiar, I'm dinosaurs, I don't know how to do it. I'm not sure, I'm sure that this is not your case, right? But this is like a lot of my cases with the educators. And it's by doing this co-design, it is making things different, and it helps a lot. So say, for example, we don't necessarily have to do like a full-blown of lesson planning with the students, but we can ask them occasionally to give some feedbacks about the lesson planning, about the ideas that they have, about the insight, the text, the outcome that we got from the generative AI. Curriculum material development, this is of course really interesting, especially the students. There are a lot of things that we as a lecturer or as a teacher, sometimes we don't understand the trends of the Gen Z, and also a lot of things. I would say that I don't know a lot of things, and I learn so much every day from my students. And what these students don't have are the experience. And it's like I'm always like thinking myself as a chef. Or when you are a chef, compared to somebody who just started, you are given if you are given one carrot and one potato, I'm also given like a one carrot and one potato and one protein, for example. This novice or maybe unexperienced, they probably can do one or two or three dishes. But as a chef, I'll be able to do maybe 100 different kind of dishes with these three ingredients. So that's what makes me thinking, okay, well, we got experience and we heard from them. It doesn't mean that I'm less clever or less smarter than these students, but they give us ideas to improve our meal, our food. And I found it really interesting, like to use the SDG. I think it's like a trend, like the students currently, the Gen Z students, they are really they're really idealists in what they are doing, and they want to change the world. They want to have a reducing inequality, and it is always good to start from there, especially when we are developing curriculum and material development with them. I found it really interesting, like to use that for like doing the course outline, having some learning activities, but then it makes things really quick in a way, because before we have to think, okay, what would be like a number one if we do vocabulary, what we have to do, but then we got all this one, and then how we improve it and how we contextualize it to our classroom, this one is the our uniqueness, because it will be contextualized to each of our situation. Assessment. Um, with this assessment, what I found is really interesting that sometimes people don't really put so much work into the qualitative or maybe the narrative assessment. They are more interested in the ABC multiple choice and yeah, something like that, that they can just give the mark quantitatively easy. With this ChatGPT actually helps me a lot, like doing this very quickly and then okay, let's do that, and then based on that we improve and then give our own thought about that. Retention, it's something that we are actually really trying to see, because there are a lot of students with diverse cultural background, diverse language background, or maybe gender background, and a lot of like a children or student with a very very diverse, and like it's really like a giving some ideas how we actually can use the generative AI actually to help them to create some activities with these students to make sure there's retention. There are a lot of commercial app using generative AI, but it's already packaged into commercial apps that people can use for helping the students when they are feeling lonely, what they have to answer. So they are using kind of chatbot like that, but it can be really costly. But we can always like do something with the generative AI and developing some activities. Either you get the idea from generative AI, or you use the generative AI for doing such activity with these students who are at risk. This is very interesting. Like a lot of our students, like they started to use ChatGPT, and this is something related to the school policy. We have to be clear whether we are going to allow or not when using the ChatGPT or the generative AI. But I'm on the side that yes, you can use it, but we provide some rules how to do it properly. So that actually like suddenly give like a higher quality, like a less questions and more creativity for the students. Yeah, so yeah, of course, personal tutor, and then the writing part. The writing part is something quite interesting, because the awareness is something that we have to build. So I'm a bit far away from the design thinking, but like I'm looking and how we actually can use this generative AI at different phases of, for example, the designing of empathizing, getting the feedback from the users and getting the feedback from the market, and then checking it out, redefining that part has been done. Defining the problem, and then also generating ideas. Then after generating ideas, this is like the production process. And the production process is where we write a report, write all tasks that we ask our students to do. And this is quite interesting because teachers like they think that okay, my job getting more because I read more. So telling the students that, well, you can use ChatGPT, but it doesn't mean that if you have like a 10,000 word, it makes your it makes your essay better than if you only have a 1,000 words, right? So teaching them about creative thinking, teaching them about peer assessment, and it actually providing the students more self. They are able to make a justification in what they write, and people starting to, okay, well, we look at you, and I think your work is for what, like a X% is created or produced by ChatGPT, for example. I can show you later like how we do that, but we can also have a different parameter how we look at the words, how we present it, and it makes them a bit shy because, oh, well, I got caught by my friends, not just by my teachers, and everybody have the responsibility to report they whatever they see on the students like assessment, and actually reduce a little bit of our work because we are able to see the students, and then we make our final decision about the work that they are doing. This is part of the research that we are we are actually teaching, providing the skill, the literacy for the students how to use the generative AI. So it is also part of the design and development of, like when you have a design thinking, you got empathize, you got the define of the problem, and then you got idea generation, and you prototype. This prototype is like you are try different way of using it with the students from your side, with your peer as your peer as other teachers, and also with the students as well. And then you test it. So the research design. So for example, my case, like a students having difficulty to ask questions, they are shy, they are not confident enough in asking questions, they are afraid for being taught as a stupid student because they don't know how to ask the right question. So this one actually helps them, and it's make them like a more confident. But we should also like give them like a stop button. Okay, well, you ask this one, how you do it. So how are you moving forward from here? So for example, question generation here, and then we change them like okay, we probably can ask the generative AI, can you change like this open-ended to close-ended, vice versa, and then based on that, we put this one into the list of method, what you are going to do to get the real data from the users. And it helps them a lot because these three process here usually like getting very stuck, and they stop and they do not know what to do, and they are asking wrong they are asking wrong or not very good questions. And it's always like an opportunity to refine and refine. That's where we are we tell the students the principle of design thinking, which is the iterative process. You need to do it iterative. You cannot just trust from only one result that you can get from the from generative AI. So I'm going to move forward. This is report writing, how you use the different tools, and you can also again like doing it as the peer feedback or peer assessment as well. And this is like a one way we are looking at that as well, like in the peer assessment. Okay, your texts are actually like a 24.48% AI GPT, but then is it right or not? Because this is like this is my bio, I wrote myself, right? And then this is being highlighted like is it really true that I'm using ChatGPT? I wrote this one a couple of years back, like before I had a ChatGPT. Why is it now considered as a ChatGPT? So that kind of question that we want the students to be asking instead of just, oh yeah, Eunice is doing plagiarism because it's 24.48% using AI ChatGPT. Yeah, so that's Okay, let's do next one. Yeah, so I guess this is like a more on a things that I teach to the students. I don't know why the picture doesn't come out. Well, it's like things you make things really quickly, instant, accessible, versatile. And what I teach them is about because design thinking cannot be done like the whole of your life. Like there should be a limit, and when you are doing what you're doing, we teach the children some future skill, like an industry skill, that everything what you do has a time limit and you cannot just go on forever, right? So we teach them the pros and cons of the generative AI, and then teaching them the future skill. Okay, now that you say, for example, you are a real artist or you are a business analyst, you only have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to sort this issue. How are you going to do that? So it's a kind of thing that they have to go, okay, you can use the technology, but how are you going to use that in your work, making sure you are honest, but then you are able to deliver well whatever you want you are tasked to do in from your work. So we teach them about lack of plagiarism, over reliance, lack of understanding, all different stuff. Well, this is just some ideas about prompt, but I mean, like I'm happy like there are a lot of things that we are actually doing about prompt, and I guess like I would just want to jump to like there are a lot of case study how we're using that, and like I touched already a bit of that before, but what I'm going to share with you is that the principles that we are doing with the generative AI is humanity-centered design. So it's basically it's part of the design thinking process where we focus on the human, we focus on our target users, on the stakeholders, basically who are the person who are going to use that, either from our side as a stakeholder, teachers and lecturer, or the students who are going to use it, or the other people. Basically, we have to think that the what's a humanity-centered design, that would be like those are the center of our design. But why it's called humanity instead of human? Because whatever we do, it should have a cost, right? Like we started with the SDG, for example. It should have a cost to change the world, to make things to directly or indirectly. We using this for the goodness, and then it's like we need to make sure we are not losing the personal interaction, emotional connection and motivation, the contextual understanding, the flexibility and adaptability, practical experience, and ethical and social consideration. Those are the what makes us unique, what makes us able to be to deliver something that are different, because the generative AI, basically you cannot trust. You can trust to help you at some point, but there are a lot of bias. There are a lot of things that, like you never know. You always have to check. And these are the area that we have to focus. We have to emphasize when we want to go into, like further using this technology in our everyday life. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you in a very short time, not in the best situation at the moment, is well, the technology is here. We cannot avoid that, but what we need to do is to embrace, to make sure that we are relevant to the environment with our students. And you probably won't believe that all these things are quite new in many other places with too many other teachers. We are very privileged in the community where technology has become part of our life, everyday thing. I'm sorry if this presentation is probably something I already know about that. It's probably, but yeah, because I don't know who will be coming today, but I'm happy. Like there are a lot of things that we can explore further. For example, the art of prompt engineering, for example, that is the most that's one of the most important thing. Like when we're talking about the generative AI, and we can always talk about more technical stuff like that. But I guess the humanity centered design part is what I want to emphasize in this presentation, how we can actually make sure that we connect whatever we do with human, either through the process of empathy, either through the process of co-designing, co-creating with our students, because the pedagogy has changed. It's not that we ask the computer what to do. The computer tell us what we have to do. And this is like our role here, like okay, well, you give me idea, but I don't believe in you 100%. I need to take over you, say basically like that. I'm trying to take over you with the best art, the best way of, like I said, to engineering the prompt, for example, and that makes you that will make you relevant compared to other technology or compared to other people. So I think that's what I want to share today. And oh yeah, the last thing is like whatever we do, make sure that we have a cause, we have an outcome that we want to achieve. So it's not just about using technology, that's it. But we really need to have a real goal, what we want to do in every single search that we do with this generative AI, and how we can actually achieve that goal, not just achieving, but achieve it excellently, basically like that. Yeah, so that's what I want to share today, and hopefully that would be useful. Or I would open to discussion with all of you if there is time.
Thank you so much, Eunice. That was a great presentation as well. And I think the area of AI, large language models, AI, at the moment has swept everyone by storm, and and it's obviously impacted across many different disciplines, and obviously for us in the area of education, higher education, or education in general has impacted us quite a bit as well. And it's great to hear again the focus on going back to prompt engineering as well. It's been mentioned multiple times, but I think you're right in terms of coming back down to the basics, that baseline as well, to build up that digital literacy as well, looking at our individuals and people within the workforce as well, coming back to that and fine-tuning that skill set. I think that's quite spot on as well. But on that note as well, I would be happy to open the floor up for any questions, any comments as well.
Thank you, Eunice. Great presentation. I just want to make a comment about the prompt engineering. I guess for us, because we are experts in what we do, okay? So it's very different with the students, because the students are learning. They're learning to be a critical thinkers. They're learning about the content and so on. For us, it's easy kind of prompt engineering, because we know what we want out of ChatGPT when we write a research paper, or when we are designing activities and so on. But the challenge is that the students don't know that, and they need to learn that in order to be, successful professionals. And that's the thing. That's why we need to be careful at designing activities with ChatGPT that really encourage them to be critical thinkers and learn how to do the task. Because if you don't know how to structure a paper, it doesn't matter if you ask a million questions to ChatGPT. You will read the content and you will find that it's not really quite articulated.
Yes, I agree. Because otherwise they will just go on a shortcut, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I think what you say, George, is about balance, and I think it's for the first time, sometimes it's a bit hard to balance things. But I think I like the word fine tuning, like Leanne said before. It's like when I started using the radio, it's still like sometimes like, oh, I got like a 95.5 or what is it? Like still a learning process. But yeah, I think that's what we have to do. And then we have to find the best way, what will be the most suitable for our group of people, rather than, okay, this is the only way of doing it, right? Yeah. Thanks a lot, George and Eliane.
Roxanne, you wanted to say something?
Yep, just a quick one. So we have had these online exams, and I just wanted to just find out your views. Because students can use ChatGPT when it's an online exam, an open book, and so on, and it's kind of giving, like, as a lecturer, we've got online courses and we need to give online exams, and we do have the assessments, continuous assessments as well. But you know, we're looking at, okay, how do we verify what something is written by ChatGPT or the student's answer? But yeah, do you have any comments on how do we, because I think exams is a part of an assessment that we all always used to have, and is it changing because of ChatGPT, or is it something we can still use it? I mean, it's a bit of a question that I'm struggling with. Yeah.
Thank you, Rushkan, right?
Yeah, Rukshan. Yeah.
Rukshan, yeah. Well, I have some opinion about that, but maybe if anyone else can add, would be great as well, because it's quite a new thing that we are exploring as well, right? Depending on the purpose of your exam, but if I only have a limited time, right? And if my exam is like what do I want to assess, right? Like if I want to assess the basic knowledge, the what you call the core knowledge,
Yep.
I would not use ChatGPT, even though I can, right? But if my purpose is to have like a more creativity or in-depth analysis on that, then I would probably use ChatGPT. But like sorry.
Yes. I think it's the problem with the students using it for to do exams. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, how do you balance that when you have an open book online exam?
Oh,
Yeah.
at this I actually like when we have an open book, that's everybody on their own screen, right? And I don't know like how it works with your university, but like a special setting, actually like it's actually like uh, provided for the students, like okay, this is how you do. I mean, it's like I don't have that kind of exam yet, so I don't really can say that much on this on this topic. But then what I see is like with the open book, like we have a special setting, this is how you do it. But of course with the ChatGPT it's a bit difficult. But do you know like you can actually use the GPT-0 and Zero GPT, right? Have you tried that one?
No, we have. It's called Zero GPT. Is that right?
Yeah, Zero GPT or GPT-0. At least it helps you. You cannot code everything like 100%.
Okay.
But also the other thing is like with the remember that I showed like 25% of them like ChatGPT. I show you that's I'm using the GPT-0 or GPT-0 or Zero GPT. They can provide that information, but then that actually helps. Like I can code a lot of things. But now the student is getting clever because they have done a lot of iteration on that. So they are so I could hardly see like sometimes, oh okay, is it ChatGPT or not ChatGPT. So multiple way of examining the students, actually I would be able to see like the style of the students. If the style change a lot, then I probably will give like a additional exam for them, like to see like if they are doing the right thing or not the right thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you from Newcastle?
Yeah, Newcastle, yes.
Oh, well, I'll be in Newcastle next week.
Okay. All right.
But-
Sorry to interrupt the conversation. Sorry, we're just at 12 o'clock as well, and I just
Yeah,
want to
okay.
just want to thank you so much, Eunice, as well. And look, I'm going to be around for the next 5-10 minutes as well. But for those who may need to leave and go to the next meeting or go to the next, appointment, etc., feel free to do so as well. And we thank you for your time and active engagement in our session as well.